All right. We'll just let everybody keep filing in here. I think what we could probably do is start off with some introductions. I am Dan Keller. I am the Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder for Flux and for Zelcore. I've been in the crypto space longer than I care to admit. I've been concentrated on decentralized compute for almost 4.5 years now, which is now called affectionately Web3. So we were Web3 before Web3 was cool. And we keep building out different projects. And one of the projects that we have is called Flux Labs, which we look for promising new projects that are coming into the crypto space that are offering a unique solution for a particular problem spot that exists in the current Web 2. And that is how we found Docushield. We're working with the KDA family and their platform. So we're glad to have them in our Flux Labs program. I think it's important. It showcases what, and you can do your introduction here in a second and explain exactly what you do. But
Sure.
it's an understatement if I say that this is probably one of the more important things that is being worked on right now, and not necessarily the crypto space, but in the tech space overall. So I kind of look at this opportunity between Docushield and Flux as a not a blockchain play per se, but a really honestly a technology play on a standard tech stack.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of why we say we're like the next step in the evolution for document security, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's kind of doing the similar thing. I mean, once we get into a deep dive, we'll really get into what's different. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing something similar, but no one's doing it on the blockchain in the way that we're approaching it, with full decentralization and keeping your privacy in mind, which is huge. I mean, for me, and I'm pretty
For
sure
everybody,
everybody in
yeah.
the space. Yeah, exactly. So my name's Adrian Marquez. I am the project leader over here at Docushield. And, we got our launch at the beginning of this year, just kind of started working on everything. And, it actually spawned from a need. I had my son was born, and all of a sudden, it's my firstborn. So now I have all this important documents and all these things that I can't lose. And, usually in my life, like I'll throw stuff in the corner and I'll find it when I need it. It's when it's for me, it's not a big deal. But now that I have all this stuff, for for him, I kind of was really hesitant to put it on any of these cloud solutions, just because I know about the amount of breaches that happen. And so I wanted something exactly like Docushield and decided to build it. And we'll get into the specifics of what that means, but very happy to announce that we got our MVP launching as well next week. We're testing it out internally, and I just love seeing the progress and everything that's come pretty much so quickly. But we really have just been grinding and working hard, and you guys at Flux have been a resource like no other, man. Your team is awesome. Some of the smartest guys out there for sure.
Well, I tell you what, compliments like that'll get you everywhere, man.
Right. I've seen you guys. We're on listed on crypto.com. So that's a big one, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that was a big one. Yeah, that was a big one. We've worked really hard to get there, I'll tell you.
Hmm.
It's funny because I often say that like-minded projects tend to gravitate toward each other, and
Hmm.
I've worked with some of the most interesting and honestly geniuses that I've ever met in my life that are
Hmm.
gravitating toward crypto, and that's what I felt like when I was looking at your project as well, because I
Thanks.
tend to be very cynical of anything that develops on the blockchain, because my first
Hmm.
natural question is, do they need a blockchain? And
Hmm.
if they do, is it already being, is it a minimal viable project? Is it being developed? I look at the team and so on and so forth. And I'll be honest with you, as we were doing our due diligence on your platform, we really were thinking, man, damn, this is a good idea. I wish we would have done it ourselves. So that's how I gauge whether or not it's a good project. If I'm kicking myself in the ass because we should have done it. But even better yet, you're doing it. So that's
Yeah, no.
awesome.
Thanks for leaving something for the rest of us to do, man.
Absolutely. So what would what would you say some of the biggest challenges that you found? Because you're a fairly new project, you're coming into the crypto space at a really rough time. What are some of the
Mhm.
things that you've picked up on that are strength points, and why are you going to be able to use that for your project? So, and the other
Sure.
piece is, well, answer that one first, and I got the next one.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, coming into the space, coming in on Kadena has been, I think, the biggest positive move we've made. Everybody in the community has just been so welcoming, and we're really at the alpha phase for product launches on Kadena. So, I mean, I've been mining Kadena for a while, and that's kind of how I got into it and started reading into it, and I've definitely looked at other blockchains and built little things on other blockchains. But I mean, just the more I read into Kadena, the more I could see how this was a perfect fit for, Pact and for, the Kadena ecosystem. And as soon as we, launched our Twitter, right after we kind of started building, people were just, they were stoked to see us building on it, to see the project that we were doing, and there was nobody that was being cynical or anything like that. I mean, when you not to talk any mess on anybody, but any other blockchain, like if you're launching something, most of the time you get side-eyed and they view you as competition, and the community is not as welcoming. But so the best thing we've done is as far as for the code and for the privacy and security is built with Pact and on the Kadena blockchain, which is obviously proof of work for those that don't know. And so that's been the biggest plus. Now, of course, there's a learning curve with Pact and everything, but I mean, we all get to be pioneers in this space now, and so I mean that's exciting. And you just got to find people who are as excited to be a pioneer. And we built the team that's just ecstatic about building. And I've been in development for a while, and it's hard to find people that genuinely get up in the morning with a smile because they know they're going to work on something that they love. So yeah, I
Amen,
could.
amen, brother. That I get up every morning and I smile from ear to ear because um,
Hmm.
there's nothing. When I was young, I used to you know think about the opportunity to be in a platform where you can be in a disruptive technology. I missed the
Hmm.
dot-com boom by a couple years, and I thought,
Hmm.
when can I see my .com? And I think the boom, the actual technology development. And I think we're right there right now, and I think that's what the really
Absolutely.
unique opportunity is.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let me ask you another question, and we'll make sure that we give plenty of time to anyone that's here. I asked that if everybody could do me a real solid favor and go out and share this. And maybe if you're just sitting there listening to this, do some live tweeting as well, just to get more people in here. I think the farther we can get in terms of reach, the better off we are. So if you don't mind doing that, please take a chance to do that. Adrian, I'm going to be straight up with you, man. I ask hard questions. So tell me what makes you different from other document signing platforms that currently exist in our Web 2 infrastructure.
So I think the main thing that happened so on a Web 2 front, what what makes us different if we were just a Web 2 platform? Let's just say we're just another platform, leave the blockchain out of it. What makes us different already off the bat is there's going to be no membership fee. So we're going to charge by the megabyte when you upload your document. And I've been in situations where I'm using a cloud solution, and I have all this data that I'm storing. And when you hit on hard times, like if my pay if my credit card got declined, I get locked out of that stuff. And it's always when I need it the most. It's never when things are going great that you need all these backups and everything's like hitting the fan. It's really when that credit card gets declined or something crazy happens, you get locked out of your account because you lost access to an email, something like that. It's always at the worst possible time. So already from the get-go, we're not charging a monthly fee. We're going to just charge by the document, by per upload. And once it's there, you can always retrieve it back to your account, and you don't have to worry about like whether or not your monthly payment is going to be hit. you know. So just on a Web 2 front, that makes us different, right there.
Big
Now,
time. I think that's understated too. I just want to point that out. I think
yeah,
that is the mechanism that they have in place to honestly
hmm
have recurring revenue. So if you're
definitely.
saying that you're taking care of that on at conception, that's a big deal. That's huge, and I think a lot of people would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's still profitable. I mean, it's when you do the numbers and everything, it's still majorly profitable. But, they, of course, every corporation out there wants to maximize profits. And that's when you get, people charging these monthly fees and they got you hooked. And I could see how that works for them, but that doesn't work for me, man, because I've been on the other end of it when, like I said, when those tough times hit and you got to pick and choose what you're paying. And then, you lose access to all this stuff that you uploaded there because you thought it was secure. So yeah, first and foremost that. Now, when we come into the Web3 space, and just anything in general, what makes us completely different is everything is completely private. So we run on IPFS, which by design is not private, right? So we're running private networks though within IPFS. So there's going to be when you upload a document, just to kind of give the long and short really quick. When you upload a document, it gets encrypted, right? So now we have the encrypted document. We have the key that will decrypt the document, and then we also have all the metadata that says everything about the file. So all three of
Mm-hmm.
those things are distributed to three different IPFS networks, and this is how people can get involved. They can help us run a IPFS server or node to actually store this stuff. But so when it gets there, everything's encrypted, and even if somebody was to somehow access any of that stuff, all they would get is a key or an encrypted file, but no idea what it relates to or how to decrypt it. Um, and there is no master keys on this either. So there's no way that anybody, myself, anybody on my team, any of our node operators, there's no way that anybody is going to be able to access any of that data and decrypt it or anything. So I know a lot of the breaches that happen, when you're talking about data breaches and security, come internally. There's somebody working at Amazon or there's somebody working, wherever your data is stored, and they know how valuable all that information is. And,
Mm-hmm.
they know how to access it. And I'd say 80% of the time when there's a breach, it comes from those internal people that know the value and they are disgruntled. And so they leverage that. And, that's how data gets transferred and passwords get leaked and all this stuff happens. I mean,
Yep.
one website that I like to reference is haveibeenpwned.com. I don't know if you've seen that before, but you type your email address in, and then it like runs through a database and sees if you're how many breaches that email has been involved with. And you can see, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like one of my older emails, I just, go through it and I see like there's about 10 different data breaches that this has been involved with. So it's a huge thing,
It's
you
horrible.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and back in the day, I would use one password for everything. Once
And
they get one
it
pass,
was usually like hello one or ABC
exactly.
1 2 3.
Yeah, man, I got away from that really quick once I seen, just how vast all these breaches were.
Yeah.
And password managers and stuff make it easy, and that's something we're also going to be building into the software, but we'll get into that, you know, um, in a little bit. But yeah, that I think that is a huge thing. That everything's private. So I know there's other people in the Web3 space that are doing some similar stuff, but we are focused on privacy and security. And the way we're doing that is with distributed data, with a decentralized platform where people can participate, and it's not first. Everything's on Flux that we're going to be running. We're communicating with the Flux nodes, all that. But also, we're going to be depending on the community to participate, and they're going to have also limited access at the same time. So no one has the keys. No one can see anything that you've uploaded, anything that you've done. But since we are a private network, we're going to be able to communicate with everybody. Not to say we're going to know their exact identities, but if for some reason we get subpoenaed about a certain piece of information or something that's hosted, we can unpin that from our network, and then we can send a relay out to everybody else saying, hey, I need you to unpin CID number, blah, 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 blah. And then that can be removed from the network like that. Like, whereas in traditional IPFS, there's all these unknown participants that once it's there, it's almost impossible to get off. And these are just all the little things that we have to look at, you know, when dealing with data. I
Yeah.
know I had talked to you about data localization and stuff when
Yep.
you know, when dealing with big corporations, and that's something you were like, oh yeah, we got that settled. Don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We'll cross that
Yep.
road when it comes then.
We already
It's yeah,
crossed that road, man.
yeah, man. So yeah, I'm like, all right, cool.
Um,
We got that settled. On to the next problem, man. So I love that. You know,
yeah.
you guys are already thinking about everything over there, man. I can't say enough good stuff, dude. Honestly.
I really appreciate that. One
Mhm,
of the things that was interesting is I heard you talking about that, and this will kind of segue into my next question out of my curiosity. One of the things that one of our products, Zelcore, which is a decentralized self custody platform.
mhm,
And if you haven't used Zelcore before, Zelcore utilizes a unique username and a unique password that it then hashes together and gives you basically a private key, and that's how you access your platform. But one of the big challenges around that, it's super secure.
mhm,
It is very uncomfortable for people at times when you say, look, this is a username and password. This is your private key. And no, we can't reset your password. And no, we can't access your data. So,
mhm,
one of our biggest challenges for 4+ years has been getting over that hurdle. For the very first time, people come on and start using a platform and they're like, what do you mean you
mhm,
can't password reset? What do you mean there's not
mhm,
centralized components to this? How do you intend in your project to intend to address that and make people comfortable with the fact that if they do lose this information, or if they
mhm,
do, if they don't have the correct credentials, they're not getting their data. So how are you going to address that? Because
mhm.
we've done it
Yeah.
different. I want to compare and contrast.
Sure, man. And we're not, well, the thing is, you know, when we're going after mainstream adoption, I'm not going to get a billion people to learn new technology. I mean, it's just not going to happen. My grandma isn't going to pick up her phone one day and understand what her seed phrase is and how to recover it and, you know, recover an account, all that stuff. So we have two different account types. The first one is the traditional anonymous account, right? So you'll download our app, then you'll open it up and you'll get your 12 you know, words for your secret phrase and put that in, and everything will be like a traditional, you know, web3 wallet. Now we also have our basic account, which is going to have that feature. So what's going to happen is user comes on and they have the ability to sign in using, you know, Google or Facebook or Twitter, and they create their account that way. Then the wallet is generated on our side, and the basic account is, it takes away one of the kind of levels of security, but it's something that we are working on making as secure as possible. So then a token is put in, and we kind of keep all of your data to log into your actual wallet within the platform. We can't see it, but we can have our software utilize it to stay logged into your wallet. So on the front end, the user never really sees that they have a wallet or what their address is unless they want that information, right? But to just gain access to their account, they can just do the traditional web two-way email password or a social login, and then gain access to that. So all their information, the first thing we do on those basic accounts is tie that to them and put it on our system, and that way it's always accessible. So if they do lose their password, which a million people are going to do, it happens all the time, they're going to be able to reset their password in the traditional way, and then when they regain access to their account, then after verifying that, you know, obviously it's them, we're going to redeem all of that information and allow them to log back in. So you know, we're still working on the finer points of that. It's already in the MVP, but we're going to do a lot of penetration testing and a lot of just you know, looking at it in different ways and analyzing things and A/B testing and seeing what's going to be quickest and what's going to be most efficient and what's going to be most secure. And then what is going to provide a great user experience and putting all that together. So um, this first round of testing is really going to tell us a lot as far as if I think something works amazing on the user end, they could be just confused as hell. I mean, I look at this project every day, you know, so
Hmm.
but our main thing is just making this as easy as possible. I want something my grandma can use, my mom can use, and that they can seamlessly integrate into their lives without having to learn about blockchain technology. Because honestly, that's asking too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Flux has done as well is we've put focus
Mhm.
on getting it to the point where we can hand this off to developers to. So as technologists, we don't always appreciate UI UX. We look more at function. Does it work?
Mhm.
How secure, is it secure, is it scalable, so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And one of the things, the challenges we saw with Zelcore as we rolled it out, is it's very robust and there's
Mhm.
lots of stuff in it. Problem
Mhm.
is UI UX and the experience of it all is a little clunky. So that's
Mhm.
where I think getting community involved and input, and it
Mhm.
sounds like you're well on your way for doing that, is super
Mhm.
important. And I'll
Definitely.
also add that you took a completely different approach than what Zelcore has done, because we took more of a scorched earth approach, and that is, if you're using this platform, we cannot reset your password. We cannot
Right.
access your financial records. You
Mhm.
are your own custody. So do you see maybe a point where there could be an opportunity to have both platforms? So, a user friendly that has some Web 2 tie in,
Mhm.
as well as the cypherpunk version for me, where I am committing my resources and the onus is on me as a user, and
Mhm.
there's no backdoor. I mean, do you see a possibility of that, or is that something
Oh
you guys could
yeah.
look at?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so we're building Docushield. The app that our first project is kind of the backbone of the mothership that we are developing right now. And so what
Hmm.
the goal is long term is to have an executable software that you can launch on your desktop, but also have plugins like the Docushield app that kind of tie right into that. So you'll have one main account, and that is going to be, if you're kind of this deep in it, it's kind of like Zalcore too. I'm going to say that no newbie who just on like just got doesn't really even understand MetaMask is really going to get to Zalcore. From what I've seen, you got to kind of do the dive in. And the reason I first got into Zalcore was just the functionality behind it, like being able to natively swap something like Kadena for Stellar, which I'm a Stellar fan just because it moves so fast. And it's like very cheap. So anytime I'm like sending any payments to anybody or anything, I'm like, dude, I'll just set it in Stellar. Here you go. It'll be there in 10 seconds. But natively being able to swap just right there in the interface is something that I was looking for, and something that I utilize all the time, and which really is one of the things that I love about Zelcore. And so the same thing, when you get deeper in and we're looking at our enterprise solution and we're looking at our personal desktop solution that you're going to be adding these different plugins to, like our node manager is going to be a plugin that's going to be to launch our IPFS instances, and it'll be a container on the Flux network. But that'll be a plugin that you use in the software, and you'll be able to launch it right there. But yeah, at that point, when you're launching or tying into the bigger mothership, it's going to be strictly, here are your keys. We're going to make this as secure as possible for you, especially with enterprise solutions, and it's going to be back to that traditional way. But if somebody is just like our global, initiative that we're taking on first, to really get the name of DocuShield out and introduce people to Web3 tech without having them to jump over that learning curve, we are offering that other type of login, that Web2 based login. But the deeper you get, the more complex things get, and that's really when we can't afford to do that. To give that kind of access. It's like if you want to do this, then you're going to have to learn how Web3 operates and do the traditional way, by the traditional means, because
Yeah.
we don't want to we don't want to have that tied to us. Any breaches or any security threats or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think it would really be cool. I think that you'll eventually someday see, the possibility of your application running on Flux inside of Zelcore as well. So, kind of bringing things
Right.
back to center. I mean, because the individuals
Mhm.
that are using, Zelcore and that platform would find this I mean, as a natural fit. So that would be really
Mhm.
cool. I think that could probably happen someday.
Yeah, and I mean
So,
we're building. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
no, go ahead. No, go.
I was going to say, well, yeah, that's why we're kind of building everything as plugins too. That way, if somebody does develop something that's awesome, it could be not only work with our system, it could work in another system, or it just leaves the way for other people that are developing other cool things to say, you know what, I think this will work good in the Docushield ecosystem, and they'll be able to just, repurpose that plugin and go right in and, and get on our platform. So I
Yep.
mean, it's really cool just having that base, that big, like I said, that big backbone, and then allowing integration. But also, you have when you're adding these new features, you can really limit what they can do, and you can really analyze their code before putting it on your marketplace, and make sure that it fits, all of your expectations.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a leading question here because I already have the answer to it, but I want to lead you into it. So, I mean,
Mhm.
essentially, this is going to be a massive data footprint because when you start talking, your first initial release, there'll
Mhm.
be a few documents there, and you'll grow and you'll iterate and
Right.
you'll build out, and then you'll get institutional adoption to this, which I think,
Hmm.
obviously is logical. How do
Hmm.
you intend? How do you intend to be able to store that data repository footprint and continue to keep it decentralized in nature? That's the leading question, but I have the answer for it, but I want to hear what you say.
Great. No, and I'm glad you have the answer because it's something I've been thinking about. And when we look at products like AWS, they have what over 200 different tools, and scalability and partitioning your data is not it's something that's kind of built in. So now that we're running on Flux, I know that we would need to expand our network pretty vast. So it would really be getting more participants inside of our network to host IPFS servers and getting everything kind of really solid and tight, which is why we're really focused on making this GUI first, because we want the onboarding to be as simple as possible. Like if you want to participate in our network, we want there to be, a maximum of 5 to 7 steps that you have to take, right? And so I think something like a graphical user interface is completely necessary in order to expand our network the way that we need it. But then also at the same time, we're not giving them, when there's a GUI, we pick and choose what we want to give them access to. So, we don't really want a novice user going in and messing with server settings and any of that stuff. So we're just gonna give you access to this, and you could flip
Yep.
the on switch, flip the off switch, unpin something by calling a CID, and that's pretty much it. We're gonna limit that, but at the same time, that's gonna really help us onboard people where they kind of set it and forget it. But
Yep.
as far as really, testing, the network, we're gonna have to take it as it goes. And I've already had a lot of people that are, with our business to business contacts that have expressed an interest in betaing this for us. So I mean, that's really cool that we have partners out there that want to utilize it and know that they're going to be, kind of the pioneers for us and helping us work out all the kinks. So
Well,
that go ahead. Yeah.
Adrian, I'm gonna hold you accountable to this because this is one of the things that very early on in this project
Mhm.
that I thought would be awesome candidate for
Mhm.
our current project we're working on, Project Thunder, which is decentralized storage nodes. So I think
Mhm.
the leading question was is there a technology that exists currently in a decentralized Web3 manner? The answer would probably be no.
No, yeah.
But the answer is that it is in works. So I think this could be a really
Beautiful.
unique opportunity to see something like this deploy there, almost as a minimal viable project as we start to stand Project Thunder up our data nodes. So very
That's
very
awesome to
interesting.
hear. This is me.
Yeah.
This is my first time hearing about that, and so that's a huge load off off of our back as far as waiting for that big mountain to climb. It's like we know we're approaching it. All right, this is gonna either go really well or we're gonna learn a lot, which is good too. Because
Well,
no
you
matter
can.
what, we're coming out the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, you can currently use FluxShare. If you go to our dashboard, it's basically Dropbox on Flux. And what we're doing with Project Thunder, developing out the node network, is we're picking one class of node, and that's going to be our storage nodes. So I think
Hmm.
this would be a really cool minimal viable project, especially in that, because it's something that's very useful, and it would also help us benchmark exactly as we grow our network there as well. So another reason why like-minded projects tend to gravitate toward each other, because we don't want to create what you've already created. We want to help support that, and use it as an opportunity. So very, very
Definitely.
interesting stuff there.
Awesome, man. No, I'm very excited to hear that, and I feel like I want to already start onboarding some businesses now. It's like, all right, man, let's do this. Let's get things going. Um,
So as as going back to asking another question about being a new project in the space and kind of growing
mhm.
and finding what has been some of the challenges that you've seen with the project, because we hear up to this point it's all been rosy, right? It's all been amazing and the technology looks well and everything. What are
Yeah.
some of the some of the challenges that you faced personally and as a project?
Packed for sure. With it's a great language. It's not difficult to navigate through, but there's not many resources available, and that's changing quickly too. I know I see there's a lot of tutorials and stuff starting to be put out, but it's not like I can go and say, hey, I need a packed engineer, or I need a packed developer, and people are like raising their hands. It's more like, what's that? And I don't want to learn anything new. And so, I mean, myself, I'm UI UX design. I do web development, stuff like that, marketing. So I handle all of that. Those are my hats within the team. So I can, get into packs and smart contracts. Definitely like on, Solidity and stuff, which is something completely different. But yeah, man, that's been the hardest thing, is getting my head wrapped around something new myself, because there's not really any people that know it. And it's cool because, like I said earlier, we're the pioneers now, in this. And that's an opportunity that doesn't come around much. But in the beginning, it was definitely just that scary part of taking on something completely new and something that there's very little resources for. And then the standards of Marmalade changing, and our project being a pretty heavy user of NFTs. So that has all been like, a little nerve-wracking, because we have our timeline and the way we want to accomplish things. And then we have, the real world and what's available, and what we can realistically do now. So I mean, good thing that, development hasn't stopped on either end. But but yeah, that's been, I'd say, the main point is of that's been kind of nerve-wracking. And besides that, it's the user experience, man. It's when you're doing something like AES encryption, it is fast, but it's also 20 years old, and what was fast then isn't fast now to today's standards. So on slower phones, when I'm testing this out, doing the encryption really takes away from the user experience, because depending on the file size, it could take a minute. So we are now kind of looking at we're implementing something where we can kind of switch between encryption types, utilizing something called two fish and blowfish. Just playing around with them right now in our in our product, and seeing what makes sense for each one, because they're a little bit more robust and a little bit quicker. And if they make sense and don't provide any vulnerabilities, we want to be able for the system to determine what method of encryption is going to be used to create the best user experience. And that's really what I mean when we're going, again, we're not going, just for the Web3 market. We're going to be advertising this and pushing it out to the world, So when that happens, we need it to be as seamless and work as good as any other software that they use out there. So that's really been the part that's like, okay, this is cool, this is working, but who's going to look at their phone for 20 seconds while this is going on? Or, well, it lags your phone down because it's eating up its resources. So there's a lot of different things to look at. And the scariest thing is putting that in front of a user and saying, okay, now you use it. you know?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
I bet because I mean you guys had Zelcore and I'm sure you know you love it and then you're like, oh, someone's like, how do I use this thing? And you're like, dude, it's just push this and this, put your address right here. Like, come on, man. But you know, that's just the way it is. We're so entwined in our projects, it's hard to see it from, you know, an outside view, which is what all this
yeah.
testing and stuff, beta testing helps with.
Yeah, we see that with Flux as well, especially with
Mhm.
Jetpack. We recently released Jetpack, which is onboarding process for Flux, and we're finally starting to hit kind of critical mass of projects coming in, starting to kick the
Mhm.
tires, starting to look at how they deploy. And man, I tell you what, my brain goes a million miles a minute when I hear you talking, because I think this is probably a microcosm for a much bigger challenge. You know, you could see this
Mhm.
actually starting to spill into electronic medical records. You could
Mhm.
any type of private data like that. And somebody actually brought that up in our Discord and just said that. I think that this could definitely develop outward if you guys can get this to work the way that it's intended. I think it's
Mhm.
just it's a framework, and then you just put a data set into it. So I think that
Mhm.
this could be very interesting long term.
Yeah, yeah, and we're in it for the long term, and we understand that's where the market is. I mean, I've worked in the B2B sector for a while, and all my marketing experience and everything is B2B. So I just kind of know that there's that whole world out there that's just got billions in it that is just waiting to be tapped into.
Yeah.
And they're looking for something proper to really feel secure with themselves and their clients, and HIPAA and you know, all of their regulations is a huge thing. I mean, you know, so being able to bring that compliance to of you know to the Web3 world is next level, man. It's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm not going to be greedy and keep asking because I still have a couple questions myself. But what I would like to do at this particular point in time is open the floor up for anybody that would like to come onto the stage and ask a question. You can ask it about Docushield. You can ask it about Flux, pretty much anything. So just all you have to do is request, and I'll go ahead and I'll add you in. So if you have a question, you can toss it up now. All right, we're gonna add Dawn. Dawn, you are now unmuted if you go ahead and ask your question. You there, Don?
Yeah, sorry about that. Mic was off.
No problem.
How's it going, everybody?
How's it
All
going, man?
right.
Good.
Glad you guys are doing this space. This is awesome. Found out about
Thanks.
Docushield from Ryan Mata, and I think it's an amazing idea. And what I'm interested in is tutorials. Like, where will we
Hmm.
where will we access tutorials for everything, for
Hmm.
Zelcore, for Docushield, for everything, so the average I can teach my grandkids how to use it and everybody else actually.
Yeah. If you don't mind, Dan, I'll take it really quick. We're doing our MVP right now, and we're going to be like doing a lot of hand holding during that time, as far as not walking them through the app, but seeing how user friendly it is, and then base our tutorials and everything off of that, off of our initial feedback. Same thing with our node operations. We're going to start off by bringing on, you know, just some beta testers and people that understand it might be a little more difficult, you know, than we want it to be, but getting that feedback and seeing those pain points is really going to drive where we put our efforts in, as far as creating additional documentation and additional tutorials. You know, so we're still at that point where we don't know exactly what the pain points are going to be internally, so we're looking to you know, our beta testers to tell us that, and the community to kind of tell us that. And then before we do our global initiative and marketing, that's when we're going to go heavy on the documentation and on the tutorials and on our onboarding process and stuff like that.
Nice. Sounds good. So basically just stay up to date with you guys and
Yeah.
keep checking in.
Keep checking
Yeah,
in,
I
man. If
mean,
you want
if
to, oh,
for the
if you want to be a part of the process, you could just sign up on our go to our Twitter, and you could sign up for our beta test list. And you know, anybody who's a part of that, you're going to get an NFT that gives you 50% off of our product usage for life. So as long as your wallet holds that NFT, you get half off forever. You can sell it in the future if you want, do whatever you want to do with it. But that's what we're giving out to people who are testing. Sorry to cut you off there, Dan.
No, man, that's amazing because everybody knows that I am a super big fan of NFTs. Not And that's actually really interesting even to me, because it's finally putting some use case behind NFTs and what, I love the
Mhm.
technology, the concept of non-fungible tokens, but the way it's practiced has probably been challenging. And I think something like
Mhm.
that, like an early access or, discounted membership to the platform, that's you're looking to dig,
Yeah.
Don, if you're looking to dig into Flux, just go ahead and head over to runonflux.io. You can check out our Medium. Our official Medium is where we drop a lot of knowledge around Web3 and decentralized compute, Zelcore, and so on and so forth. And we have, and I'm not going to toot these guys as horns, because I know we have the best community out there that there is. Our Discord is very vibrant, very engaged, and they would be more than happy to help you, point you in the right direction for any information you'd like to get.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
No problem, man.
Yep, thank you. All right. So do I have anyone else for questions? Just go ahead and you just request, and then we'll go ahead and we'll unmute you. If you don't ask questions, I'm going to start singing. So let's not put everybody through that misery.
Yeah, we need to. I want to hear that happen, man. Um, so I got a question for you, man. And just as far as I've been digging a lot into what
I do
qualifies
have
as
another question.
security. And let it come in, man. Yeah.
I got another question that came up. Somebody actually just sent it to me DM, and they
Oh,
said,
okay.
"How over the next several years, how do you plan to scale appropriately to allow user base? And has any metrics been done around projections for user base?"
So yeah, we have not. Well, we've done market research, of course, and we have a goal as far as what we want to develop and what we want to see as far as our user base goes. But yeah, we're still at a point where we're gonna see what our initial load is, and then try to break that and see how far we can go with that. So ideally in a perfect world, our network and our is going to be able to handle that kind of a load, but really it's going to take a lot of testing. So, and that's the cool thing, is that having people that have mass amounts of data that are ready to integrate now and want a solution like this now, we can bring them on and say, hey man, you're gonna kind of be the guinea pig here. Let's take one of your networks and let's back it up on Docushield and see how that goes. So, you could plan as much as you want, but you're never going to anticipate everything. So really, once we get our hands in the dirt and start onboarding some of these B2B solutions with higher, like mass amounts of data, that's when we're really going to be stress testing our network. And right now, at the point where we're building out our personal solution, for and I think we're going to be able to handle that, no problem. But it's really, yeah, when we get those mass amounts of data in, and luckily, man, we have those contacts that are willing to just be the guinea pigs for us, help us out, and we of course show them a little love in return as far as giving them a better deal than we would give anybody else on the platform.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, I mean, how I run my life is, let's wait and let's cross that road when it comes, and when we do, we're going to build that bridge and make sure that we have that solution and don't sleep until we find it.
Yep. No, I like it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. The adoption curve all really depends on the sentiment of the market. Unfortunately, we see a lot of technology projects come out at the wrong time, and they don't necessarily get the attention until the cycle starts again. So,
Mhm.
trust me, Flux has been there. We lived through 2018. We can live through damn near anything. But yeah, you start to see critical mass, and if
Mhm.
as long as your infrastructure's been put in play, I think that'll be great for you guys.
Yeah, you guys didn't do too bad this little crazy dip we had this last time. You were holding a lot stronger than a lot of other platforms out there and stuff as far as token price and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
I
so
always
I
tell
was
everybody. I always
uh
tell everybody that I don't even look at the price, and I don't normally. Unfortunately, everybody's talking about it here, there, and everywhere.
yeah.
And with the issues with Luna. But I'm going to do a kind of a selfish plug here because I think we have a fairly large announcement coming the 25th. It's going to absolutely be right up your alley. So I definitely think you might want to tune into and listen to some of the things that are happening that we're getting ready to institute on our side as well. So it will address one of your challenges, and I think it's really going to be a big deal. So yeah, I think
you got 25th of this month.
25th, yes, the 25th.
Beautiful.
So
all right, cool, man.
Hell, I
Put
don't
it
know
on the
what
calendar.
time it is.
I never get away from the computer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it really doesn't.
All right, guys. Any other questions? We got about maybe 5 minutes. If anybody wants to fire off another question, if not, we'll wrap it up. We'll give it a couple seconds here. Just go ahead and request, and we can add you on, even if it's a statement. Awesome. Okay. Well, then that usually is that silence usually means we've answered pretty much every one of their questions, which is a really good sign. So. Why don't we go ahead and wrap it up and tell us a little bit about how if somebody's interested. Okay, hold on. We do have somebody that just popped up.
Okay.
PCTS for you. Go ahead. All right. What about?
Well, here you go, guys. I got a question. Sorry, didn't mean to be on mute there.
All right, Dom, and you'll be next. So just hang tight.
It's more of a question and more of comic relief. Why do our grandmothers need to know this stuff? I'll take my answer offline.
Maybe not our grandmothers, but definitely I would say your mom or your dad, because I think as technology tends to distribute itself. I mean, my mom understands what the blockchain is. She has Zelcore. She has cryptocurrency that I've helped her get. She understands the premise of it. So I think laying those foundational groundworks for the next generation, we're literally like 2 generations away from people being completely integrated in whatever blockchain is. I mean, my kids come in constantly, and I'm sitting in there working. Dad, hey, what is this Dogecoin thing? Should we buy some Dogecoin? No, get out of my office. You know what I mean? Like they understand it, and my kids had a class on what is blockchain and Bitcoin in school, and as a matter of fact, my kids recorded it secretly on their phones because they're not supposed to have their phones, and sent it to me just because I wanted to see what the hell they were talking about. So I think we're a generation away from, or two, from this really just being commonplace. Adrian, you want to add to that?
Yeah, my grandma definitely needs it. I'll tell you that I get calls all the time. It's like, oh, you set this account up for me. What's the password over here? Or, how do I get into this? And I can't find this document, or stuff that she needs to save from her email. Like being able to have the biometric login. I'm like, listen, mom. I call my grandma mom. Listen, just put your fingerprint on there, log in, and now you have access to your password vault. Now you have access to everything here. And when you get something new, this is how you bring it in, and that's it.
Yep.
And now everything's going to be in one place for you. So I mean, yeah, my grandma, I love her to death, man, and she's been a part of my life immensely, man, and she loves and supports everything we do. But yeah, this is a solution also. I'm just like gonna completely get her trained on using. It's gonna make her life easier for sure.
Awesome. All right, great question.
Thanks, guys.
Yep,
No problem, man. Thank you.
All right, Daman, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you regarding everything what you are doing regarding the project. I need to be honest. I figured it out about you with Ryan Meta. Actually, I come from Europe, and I find Ryan, and I fall in love in Kadena and in Flux. Actually, I'm packing the bag for the past 7 months every time.
There we go.
We're packing our bags, no matter price. I'm just buying. So my question is very simple. Where do you see the project? Where is the vision 2 years from now? what we can expect from you and your team, and where you see the project in the next 2 years. Thank you very much.
Sure. Great question. Thank you. I totally envision this project being something cross chain, first of all, that we will explore later. So, I mean, I think in a couple of years, though, cross chain is going to be the norm. We're already starting to see a lot of interoperability. But beyond that, man, I've seen this just being an all in one solution. And we're trying to create the decentralized version of, what's already being utilized out there. So, storage in space, for notary, for just having all these different plugins for different things. We're going to have a private chat relay. We're going to have encrypted, forms that people are going to be able to launch, all with different plugins. So really, we're going to try to take over a little bit, taking Google's model, launching different programs at a time as plugins into our marketplace. And, you'll see encrypted access to documents. And like I said, to forms, and, anything else that we're looking for. Notary is going to be kind of one big thing behind us, is being able to, get document signatures and stuff like that. So, I mean, it sounds crazy, but yeah, man, we're trying to take over the world pretty much. Is one plugin and one section at a time, just broadening that range of what we operate.
I think, just to interrupt, I think this project is a bit 2 or 3 years before actually when people will realize that Web3 is here. Yeah, I think we are
Right.
2 years before the time. And
Mm-hmm.
when people will realize at that time the Flux is gonna be above 50 or about $100, and Kadena is gonna be above 300. I think this project is 2 years before the time, at least.
Definitely.
I can't speak for Docushield, but I can speak for Flux as a product. And people ask me this all the time. I mean, I get this constantly when they say, "Where do you see the project in 3 years or 5 years?" And I always say this. I say, for the past 4 years, we've been building disruptive technology quietly, without a bunch of fanfare. We literally signed our very first marketing and PR platform, like high-end marketing and PR platform, last month. And we did that methodically because we wanted to grow the technology. And because one of the bad things about the blockchain space is we've seen projects that were a white paper and a dream, and they've, raised a bunch of money, and people are real super jaded about that. And that's why we take our time, and we make sure not every project is going to be successful. But our goal is to basically be agnostic, and much like what Adrian just said in terms of taking over the world, not necessarily taking over the world, but enabling the folks that are going to take over the world to do that. We want to be the folks that have the pickaxes and the shovels and the pans, and during the gold rush, we're going to be selling those things. So I think if you focus your project at that mindset, that the technology is first, and find, the wealth or the money is a byproduct of the success of the project. I think if you do that, if you follow the mission, the money will follow. And I think that's exactly what my mantra is. And I tend to gravitate toward projects that think the same thing.
Exactly. No,
Thank you, guys.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's been awesome. Thank you very much. Adrian, if you want to wrap it up, just give your all your social pieces and stuff for anybody that wants to learn more about the project.
Sure. Yeah. Docushield.app is the website, of course, running on Flux. Twitter, you can find us at Docushield. Medium at Docushield. And if you go to our Twitter, we got a link on our we got a link tree link up there that'll just take you wherever you need to go. So our Twitter is our home base aside from our website. Get over there, follow us and check out all the resources. And if you guys need anything, you can always hit me up directly at Oh So Powerful on Twitter. And yeah, I'll share all that information too after we get off right now. But thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Oh So Powerful. That's a good Twitter handle.
Thank you.
If you want to learn more about Flux, it's run on flux.io. You can come visit us in our Discord. You can follow me personally. It's at DAK_Flux. We're always looking for opportunities for new and interesting things, including AMAs like this. So if you have something that you want to hear more about, let us know, and we look forward to chatting with you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on today. Adrian, thank you so much. You guys are kicking ass and taking names, and I love to see what you're doing. So thank you.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right.
Bye.